Which let's go ahead and hop into our first game. The action is ready to get started, and now we have Ninja and Hysteria going against Karma and Gotaga. Now this is going to be a good match, and already we're seeing Karma and Gotaga. Where are they going, boys?
It looks like, what is that?
Looks like a hot retail row drop
Looks
there.
like a retail row, right?
Looks like we might see him hitting noms here, or we're going to be seeing the corner of the Bass Pro Shop, as I like to call it.
Rest in peace, noms, actually. No
I know.
longer,
Pretty sad about it. But I'm glad to see the map developing, these portals coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of interesting, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But Ninja and Hysteria, where are we going with them? It looks like we have another shifty drop, which this is something that carried them through the previous tournament. And it's so well thought out because, you know, of course, where shifty, you have a couple different areas you can go. You can go over to Greasy and then you can go over to Tilted. But either one of those, you typically pick up at least one or two teams from there, and then you can pursue your opponents from that point. And it allows you to be able to cut off your opponents also to Loot Lake if the circle does deem it so. But overall, the start pretty typical. Let's see how it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that's nice when it comes to Ninja and Hysteria's play, of course, like I said, going to the outskirts of Shifty Shafts, that you have these two buildings, at least a few guaranteed chests. You have the ability to kind of move in towards Shifted without question a more passive play style. My thing to really be questioning, because you know what to expect from the defending champions in Ninja and Hysteria, slow-paced play. They're going to be staying alive through a lot of this match, finding consistent kills, much like FaZe has in the past. Now you bring in Karma and Gotaga, right? Both incredibly skilled players coming from, you know, multiple esports backgrounds. Of course, Karma from Call of Duty, Gotaga also from COD, but also another, a number of different esports, BRs included with that. You also got to talk about, too, chemistry, right? Karma and Gotaga, I know Karma's from Canada. Does he speak French? I don't know how these guys are communicating with each other.
Does it matter when they're both savages, though, Landon?
That's true. That absolutely is a factor, right? The savage just helps you kind of realize where players are. But,
they could talk in grunts and clicks, and I think they'd be able to communicate. Savages, that's what they do, right? So that's obviously how Karma and Gotaga are talking. But Legion, you're back. What are you seeing? Your eyes just open
I'm
wide.
just excited to see Ninja and Hysteria. We got the Halo pros from back in the day versus some of the Call of Duty guys like you've been mentioning. I actually lost to Hysteria's sister at Anaheim 2011 at an MLG event to get knocked out of the tournament. Losers 3. Just wanted to shout out wherever she's at in the world. Then I eventually became a YouTuber and met Hysteria and then never told him. So that's just how it is.
Maybe you save those moments. Essentially.
It was no, his sister was an absolute monster to Halo Reach. But anyways, back to it, guys. I mean, seriously, we see the approach here. Already 3 for Karma, 1 for Gotaga. These guys are not afraid of anything as well. I think we might see a little bit more aggression out of them as we do see such not necessarily passive gameplay, but they like to land in those outskirt areas like Shifty on the side of Ninja and Hysteria. So should be interesting to see, are they going to be able to catch up immediately like they always do when they find people, or what's going to be the outcome here?
Yeah, that's truly the question. But, yeah, coming from Karma, obviously I've been watching him for years. I come from a Call of Duty background. Karma's just a talented player in general. He's been able to play multiple different titles at a professional level. I do know that, of course, he used to play on Complexity back in the day. He was a part of that dynasty and then even move on to Optic, that dynasty as well. And now for himself, I think he competed in H1Z1 at least for a couple of tournaments, the little ones. I don't know how far he went into that, but now moving into, obviously, Fortnite. I'm excited to see his future overall. But a little weak there is going to be Ninja taking some shots. I believe that could have even been some grenades or C4, but just casually
one pump
eliminates this player.
Yeah, just if, like,
that poor player in the chin.
It deserved the time of day to actually be fully looked at. Just a casual one pump to the side of the cheek and absolutely melts him. So kind of unfortunate if that player was trying to really make a play happen. And, little to his knowledge, he's actually going to be down. But look at this, though. Gotaga, he is actually in the midst of quite a bit of fire. He ends up getting dropped. Will he be finished off in total? I'm sure he will. And, yes, just like that, the thirst comes in. Karma, 1 versus 2. Of course, he's very familiar with these when it comes to Call of Duty. However, this 1v2, much longer of a pace. And when it comes down to this particular play, a 1v2 in Fortnite is much more difficult, especially when we talk about the Friday Fortnite kind of play style. For those at home who aren't really familiar with it, it is all about kills. Back-to-back maps, all about the kills. Having, essentially 50% of your team already off the map, it's going to spell pretty difficult for Karma, to say the least.
Especially if you run into one of those Tommy guns, those drum guns in game, because those are absolute monsters. I had the privilege of Nintendo switching last night, playing this game, and for the just sheer effect of nobody builds on that console for the most part, the drum gun is so much fun to use. And, we're seeing, look how much traffic there was at Shifty. It's super odd. They've already got 5 kills between them. Of course, Karma actually with 5 by himself, so he's obviously doing all right there. Trades out for a nice blue tack shotgun. My favorite in the current meta. Okay.
Oh, yeah, dude. Solid weapon for sure. I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying that blue tack, probably my favorite weapon in the game. Although, though, as you mentioned, the drum gun. That's kind of turning into one of my favorite guns, along with the silenced SMG. Like, where the heck did that gun come from? Obviously the patch, but like that is like there's been times where I've had like a blue burst in my inventory, and I've had to decide keeping a gray silenced SMG or a blue burst. And I'll tell you what, I would grab the silenced SMG.
So it's funny you mentioned that, and this is
I'll
something
tell you what.
It's so good, Landon.
It really is.
It's insane.
This is something I wanted to bring up throughout our cast was the new meta that we're seeing throughout the shift, right? Especially, like you said, the Tommy gun being added, which I'm kind of indifferent on it. It does shred. It absolutely shreds. But if you've noticed the kind of sway that it has whenever you're firing is a little bit awkward, and I think it can be pretty inconsistent whenever you're talking about getting into a fight overall. And that's why I kind of opt for still going for my SMGs, especially to silence. The blue silenced SMG right now is one of the most dominating weapons you can have in this game so far.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been seeing
anything.
pros. I've been seeing some professional players, whether or not it's actual strategy or not, being like, okay, purple scar or blue silenced SMG. Which if you would have told me that weeks ago, I would be laughing in your face as to why that strategy would be in play. But if for any viewers out there, if you have not used the silenced SMG, now is the time to do it and to absolutely destroy the competition, because that gun, long range, up close, doesn't matter. It is absolutely a tool of destruction.
I mean, it pops through builds too, like you're just trying to slice through hot butter with a sharp knife.
Absolutely.
Did you like that?
I did. I actually really enjoyed that.
I wanted you to feel what I was saying.
Any food reference from you is always a good one.
It's the best. Also, is it nighttime where Hysteria's at, or does he just have? I think he has the windows with some nice dark shades in there.
Yeah.
That's that classic competitive feel.
Oh, dude, it comes from Halo, right? That's the that was the mindset.
Well, yeah, actually, a lot of us didn't. We've never even seen sunlight. Actually, we just travel to and from and shaded vehicles from event to event. It just happens year after year. Yeah, tint so deep.
Uber's probably.
I don't even know what daytime's like anymore, Landon.
Is that right? I mean, it's kind of bright in here, to be honest with you.
Well, this is
a lot of lights.
Yeah,
it's probably worse than the sun.
To be honest, yeah. Sometimes I do get sunburn after sitting under here for 8 hours casting Fortnite. Yeah, that is a fact.
Right.
It does happen. So what are we seeing Karma do? He went over to Dusty. Unfortunately, no one was going to be home. We saw Gotaga drop. He had 2 frags himself. So still sitting at 7. Still slow for Ninja and Hysteria, though, however, as they're making that rotation out. By River, still by Tilted. And this is something they do. They don't like to really travel too far from Shifty. Of course, at this point, they kind of have to, just given the fact that the circle is going to be out there. But they're playing that gatekeeper role. Whereas Karma, he's pushed in pretty deep. He's going to try and rotate here around Dusty, try and find anybody transferring over. Of course, he's going to be pretty exposed, and with his partner being down, got to be thinking he's going against solo squatting at this point, which is obviously pretty hard to do, especially when you're in a high-octane area such as Dusty, even moving over to Salty, too, which that could pose a lot of danger to him himself. So he's got to be careful here, but overall, he's sitting quite nicely, and this is the time for him to prove himself.
Absolutely. And one thing, too, that's nice about Karma, of course, he comes from that, Call of Duty competitive background, being in situations like this a number of different times, having the exact same feelings, nothing too out of kilter. But like I said, having, the lack of the teammate really is going to come into factor here. It's going to be a pretty big problem. I know Karma's been heavily practicing with the Hunter T, actually Fortnite team, getting him prepared for this exact match as the nice snipe comes forward. Also should be able to take this guy down with a few pop shots from the assault rifle here. But, of course, needing to try and engage in a different situation. But kind of getting back on the passive play, what we talked about with Ninja and Hysteria, their ability to really just stay alive, to play that passive role, and to really kind of take down their teammates. Like I said, we talked about at the beginning, right now is a 6-5 advantage for Karma's team. But look at the situation, though. If he has Gotaga with him, they're feeling a lot better. Late game is what we're seeing Ninja and Hysteria prepare for. And that is so evident in a lot of these teams, a lot of these games, is that guys who are playing more passively are setting themselves up for the future, not just the initial fight off the break.
Let's talk about the fact that he's got no mats, just rushes in with the shotgun out. Says, I'm not afraid of anything. I think there might have actually been 2 teams converging at the same time, or that guy up top just decided not to push at all. But you're going to see Ninja and Hysteria, of course, coming in. That's a smarter thing for them to do, knowing that he's solo. Just pinch in, get those kills. But Karma doing a great job of still getting some of these drops. If he can get one more shot on this guy, that would actually extend their lead by a couple, and he does actually. So 6 kills for Karma, of course. Kama.
Yes.
6 kills for Kama. Kamehameha. Karma now with 6, and of course Gotaga with 2. So you're looking at about a 1-kill difference now for both teams.
Yeah, you definitely are. And obviously Ninja and Hysteria coming in and kind of saved Karma's life, to be honest with you there, because you never know what would have happened. Of course, running out of mats, and they already had the high ground at that point.
Kind of a tip of the hat, like, hey, what's going on, Karma? We'll take these. Appreciate it.
I always love the competitors, at least, like dancing in front of each other. And even though there's a lot of money on the line, of course, the sportsmanship is great between these players. They obviously play each other basically every week. Of course, Karma knows the majority of these players in here. He's played with them in the past, or at least he's had some relationship with them. So coming in, obviously good sportsmanship. But honestly, it's kind of a really a savior as you see Ninja and Hysteria coming in and kind of helping Karma out in a way, because now they're going to provide that extra padding to give Karma a little bit of leeway in those team fights.
Absolutely is. And one thing that I like too about Ninja and Hysteria's play is they're kind of playing like what I kind of wanted them to do. A lot of times teams don't really realize if you land Shifty Shafts, there's a pretty easy rotation to Salty Springs. Like I said, once you go through River, you're pretty much set up to make the quick transition. Actually, I think it's almost the same distance from Salty to Tilted Towers than from from Shifty to Tilted Towers than there is from Shifty Shafts to Salty Springs. Not much of a massive difference between those two locations. It's really just a matter of, the peak, the valley that you have to go through in order to get there. So a lot of teams don't really realize, hey, we can just in a matter of moments make our way to Salty just as fast as the typical rotations that happen when it comes down to like I said, toward Shifty Shafts. But I like that play from them. They kind of counter a lot of what Karma's trying to do here. He lands Retail Row. Besides Dusty Divot, he really only has Salty to work with. So I like that play coming from Ninja and Hysteria, kind of essentially locking down any kills that Karma could get. And also, like I said, with the passive play off the start, it's going to hurt Karma and Gotaga. Retail Row, it's a nice place to go, although they don't have a whole lot of practice together and a whole lot of teamwork with one another either. So it's going to come into play here as far as how many kills can Karma kind of keep together, how much of a deficit are they going to have heading into map 2, and what their plans are heading into to that second game as well.
I think it's what I love about Fortnite so much in general is that any playstyle you have can be rewarding. So you have this passive playstyle. We talk about the Nick Merck Cypher combo that you've got going on. Of course, he's playing with High Distortion this week, so that's going to be an even faster pace, I believe, than anything we've seen from them in the past. Basically how the drop goes, if you get a bunch of people in Tilted, you win out, of course you're going to have an extensive lead to start off. But, of course, the smartest play seems to be from players like Ninja and Hysteria. They just land vaguely somewhere in a populated area, then make their way in, and then usually by the end of the game they've still got 20 kills minimum. So it's interesting to see that you can pretty much play any way you want. If you get the luck of the draw, then it might just help you out.
I talked about Ninja and Hysteria kind of being that godsend, but I kind of take it back at this point because I was watching Karma push up, and he was hitting some nasty shots with a hunting rifle. But I also noticed Hysteria in the back with his own sniper rifle kind of picking off what Karma was trying to get the kill on. So he's actually been stealing the kills left and right, so he's still sitting at 6. But Karma in a lot of trouble right now in the storm, trying to build up out of it. He honestly made it a very aggressive push trying to engage that player, opting instead of, I want that player to push me coming out of the storm, he opted to push the player inside the storm. And hopefully he doesn't have to pay for it, but he does look like he does get away with his life, but he's going to be very weak. He has some minis in his back pocket, but it looks like he's not going to be able to succeed as he does go down. You see the look of anguish in his eyes as now Ninja and Hysteria got free reign to get that extra credit.
I hate to see it. I'm not going to lie. I have a little bit of like a leniency. I want to see Karma succeed, man. Of course, he comes from my home esports title on Call of Duty. I want to see him do well. I want to see him really perform. But you got to give props, right? This is his first Friday Fortnite. Not super familiar with the format. And puts up a very respective 6 frags, 6 eliminations before he dies. A lot of those actually coming in from that initial play in Retail Row. So it was kind of unfortunate that Gotaga drops early. He gets kind of unfortunate timing here in the fight and ends up getting taken down as well. But you got to ask, right? This is such a difficult match for Karma Gotaga in their very first game. Going up against Ninja and Hysteria is difficult enough, let alone facing off against a team who literally just won the last week's tournament and also took down the best squad, best duo in the world, and back-to-back series in Tfue and Cloaksy, who are 3-time champions. Truly unreal stuff. But, man, it's gonna be very difficult for anyone to take down Ninja and Hysteria this week.
You've got 11 kills now out of Hysteria and 9 out of Ninja, 20 kills. And what do we have? Total of 8 now out of Karma and company.
Yeah.
I'm really wanting to see Gotaga pop off this next game. If we see like a 15 or 20 kill comeback, I wouldn't mind it at all. Not even a little bit.
That'd be great.
I would sweat even more than I am right now.
Not possible. Not possible. It looked like Ninja was actually trying to pick up Karma at one point.
I thought he was baiting him.
He just teased him. He was like, I'm going to get you, psych. And he flew away.
Teased him pretty hard, man.
Just like my dad.
That's kind of harsh. To do. And I love it, too. Ninja didn't even smile or react to it. He just kind of was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, so you see that shot coming out, obviously showing. That burst, by the way, is really powerful. Now, I haven't been using it in the past, but I was playing last night and had the opportunity to pick up a gold version of the FAMAS. And the amount of damage it does is still pretty crazy. And obviously now with the thing is, like we were talking about earlier, the meta is so incredibly different now. We're seeing so many different pros rock a plethora of different weapons, whether it be the SMG. Now we got the Tommy gun, of course. Players even now, I was listening to a couple of players in the past to even talk about there's no need for an AR anymore because at this point, because you have, of course,
to a point.
Well, to a point, but because the subs, they have literally no recoil. They're just a laser beam straight ahead. Why do you need an AR at that point? Plus, if you think about it, too, if you're running an AR plus you have a Tommy gun, you're using the same ammunition. So at that point, it's a bit rough. But look at Ninja. Just comes in, casually picks up 3 players himself to pass Hysteria, who was sitting at 11. Now he's sitting at 12 himself. Which got me thinking, boys, this shifty drop and the shifty rotations overall is the way to go. And I was kind of implementing that in my playstyle previously. And hello, there's a potato straight ahead. I was kind of implementing that, and it works really well.
What are these players?
Potato season.
This is that early afternoon default skin grind. This is when I hop on to feel good about myself. Wouldn't be able to drop 13 by any means, but my God, we're talking 27 combined kills here. This is the first game on our Friday Fortnite event, and of course, we're just seeing Ninja and Hysteria popping off yet again, defending champions from last week. Looking to look at his smile. Look how hype he is right now. This last guy is probably hiding in a tree. Because that's what I would be doing. I would be scared.
I'd be inside at the top of the tree, actually.
I would.
In the foliage,
Yeah, so it looks like they're only going to be down 19 kills.
That's it?
Actually, 20 kills going into game 2.
Wow. That's going to be pretty rough.
That's to say the least, that's really rough. You got to be thinking. Be going on 20, but
can we point out, too, like what? They both finish off with 14. Like, consistency is obviously great for these two, but, like, that is unreal stuff. We talk about they land shifty off the drop. Like, if typical Fortnite player enters and watches Friday Fortnite, one team lands shifty shafts, one team lands retail row. At the end of the game, the team who landed shifty shafts finishes off with a combined 28 kills. Like, what are they doing right? Like, what's the real key to that? It's the passive play at the start, man. I'm going to be hammering that in the entire broadcast. People have been saying the passive play is nice, but it doesn't equal out to a whole lot of kills. It doesn't equal out to a whole lot of eliminations. You know who makes those passive plays respectable? It's about Tfue and Cloaksy and Ninja and Hysteria. Both of those teams finished off first and second last week. Tfue and Cloaksy finished off with an average lead per game of 21.2 eliminations last week. That's how many kills they averaged that they won by. Ninja and Hysteria averaged 13 kills, like regarding beating teams by that exact margin from game to game to game. That's pretty unreal for you. Talk about a slow pace off the start to have that much of an advantage in the overall scheme of the game. I don't know, man. I really hope we start to see more teams, especially squads that we have coming back, typical Gamer and Thief. We talked about Vicstar and Tinny. It's been a while since those guys have played Friday Fortnite as a duo together. So I want to see how a lot of these teams kind of implement that slower pace strategy, not the hot drops that we've been kind of accustomed to as of recent. I want to see teams kind of adapt, because if not, I think they're going to keep getting left back in the back seat and not being able to really progress themselves or really improve as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, you've been playing in tournaments yourself as of recently, right?
True.
This is true.
Dominating on the Switch.
So
this is true.
You just heard what Landon said about the passive drops versus the hot drops. Are you kind of in agreement with that?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to point out, on the Switch, it's a little bit of a different story.
Anywhere's a hot drop. and the players that you're going against generally are playing laying down in their bed, looking up at their screen with no audio, so they don't even hear you when you jump pad. But, no, you're talking about hot drops versus passive. It was a couple weekends ago I was playing at a tournament, and we were playing, I believe, Valkyrie and Alexia Ray, and we had a retail drop, and we died literally instantaneously off the drop. They landed like in Fatal Fields, ended up somehow we got lucky. They ended up getting like 5 or 6 kills. Next game, we dropped a little bit tighter. That area, those little houses stacked just southeast of retail, in between there and Moisty and Prison.
Right.
It's like that little distance. That area is like perfect. There's 3 or 4 chests there usually. You make your way into retail, get the cleanups from whoever's left. It just seems like the decision making from playing passive. If you're somebody that's just uber confident like Nick Merckx, you just get in there, you land, you don't really care whether or not you live or die. Me, I'm like, hey, we're knocked out if we don't land safe this game. And so, that just was the approach that we did. So I'm more so on the Ninja Hysteria side of things in terms of how I would like to be.
Okay.
But we saw Karma and Gotaga. They landed retail. Great start. Unfortunately, Gotaga just got taken out early on. But, of course, we know he is an absolute monster. So I've got no doubt that they're going to be able to drop quite a few kills this game. However, it's going to force them to hot drop. So if he goes down again, this first round's over for them.
So something we saw last time when it came to the Battle Pass was Anarchy Acres. That was a hot drop because we assumed a lot of players were going to be going there. Unfortunately, the issue with that is there's not a lot of loot whenever you drop Anarchy.
Right.
On top of that, the rotation from that is basically Loot Lake. Or I guess you could hit up Risky from that point too, but there's really not a lot you can do with that. Now it's Fatal Fields this week. You think we start seeing Fatal Field drops?
I think for sure, and I think especially when it comes in the later stages of this game, Ninja and Hysteria, right? We talk about the location near Fatal Fields happens to be Lucky Landing. That is the favorite position from the King of Twitch himself. Ninja loves to go there, and that's only just a few miles north of his regular position he likes to drop in. I think it's almost a dead set that it's another an optional location for Ninja and Hysteria to drop. But of course, as far as the drops for this particular game, it looks like we're actually going to be seeing Karma and Gotaga both go to retail row. I think being down the margin that they are, 20 frags. We talked about Ninja Hysteria a team who is going to be getting constant victory royale, staying alive throughout most parts of the game, both dropping 14 kills last game by themselves in this exact same position. I think they need to play a little bit more aggressive off the start, but we'll see what happens here.
And you're going to see this Tommy gun in action again. Karma just absolutely beaming another player. Unfortunately, that guy already had armor off the rip. I felt like he landed for approximately 4.5 seconds, and now he's going to C4 this poor guy to death. But of course, those C4s yet again for zoning, for destroying build, for getting people to just fall from the sky when they think they're safely looting a chest up top.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite things to witness in this game. And of course, does he already have, is it 1 kill? I think he's got.
I believe so.
I believe he has 1 kill, and then of course Gotaga came in the back and was able to get a kill as well. I thought the drop was going to be a bit shaky. We saw Karma drop. He was able to get that chest, but unfortunately, all it was just a hunting rifle that he was able to find within that chest. But of course, he came in, and gratefully so, he was able to find that green Tommy gun, and he was able to use that along with the C4. So thought he was going to have a little bit of trouble, especially since that player dropped just above him on the roof. But now this is it's a bit interesting because we'll be getting some mats. He does see some players over there on black tops. He'll be pushing them shortly. Of course, the Ninja and Hysteria still all is quiet. They love to hit up those houses, kind of get their loot, and then push in over there onto the Shifty Shafts area. Maybe find some players themselves. But this is where Gotaga dropped last time. Hopefully he can stay up this time and maybe kind of close a little bit of that deficit.
I mean, they call him the French Monster for a reason, right? A super talented player in a multitude of different esports. We'll see, like I said, how he can kind of complement along with Karma, of course, providing some excess shots. The back does get the official elimination, so 2 eliminations in total for Gotaga, 1 for Karma. But this is the thing, right? We talk about passive play, however that may be. They have got to be pretty much rushing every single thing because this is the only time during the game that they're going to have a massive advantage like this, the ability to have a lot of players in front of them while the slow start for Ninja and Hysteria, because of course we talked about Ninja and Hysteria, they have a massive lead coming into this game. They can play slow, and once they leave Shifty Shafts, that's going to be where things start to get more even. So for Gotaga and Karma, it's going to be pedal to the metal for the next solid 10 minutes. They've got to be rushing everything, getting as many eliminations as possible, firing as many bullets, getting as much loot. Everything has to be at its highest pace possible for these guys to even get close to evening this game out.
What I think's hilarious is you're starting to see players even picking up common silent subs.
Yeah.
Like the Grays, just because those things in general melt so hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, it's funny. I even catch myself, I'm like picking these up and dropping shotguns as the double shotguns. It's like, no, you're seeing a lot of these players. That last game you saw Ninja, Hysteria, and Karma, all 3, they had a shotgun followed by a Tommy gun. It's like, where did the meta change here in the last week and a half?
Yeah.
Where you're not even, shotguns are like, yeah, they're super important, obviously, for that up-close combat, but you hit them with that mid-range with a 50-round drum clip, you've got pretty much infinite ammo in a gunfight.
Right.
You've got enough time to reload if you got the assistance coming in from your teammates as well. So, of course, we're going to see 1 kill out of Karma still. Looks like they're actually going to be 15 down, still 0, but now Ninja and Hysteria finally making their way into some action. We'll see if Karma and Gotaga, first of all, if they come back of a 20-kill deficit,
Yeah, that'd be insane.
I'm quitting.
That's a great way to say it. But one thing that I like, too, about Ninja and Hysteria is they're actually rotating west toward Greasy Girl. This is by far the more kind of slower-paced option of the two. You're going to have a guaranteed maybe squad that's probably alive at this moment in Greasy Girl. So I like this play for them, not making their way toward Tilted, not going to the outskirts. They realize, hey, we're still 15 kills up. There's going to be at least 1 squad here. We can kind of play passively at the time and go for the more secure drop, go for the more secure location. I like this play from these two. And that's exactly what's expected from these guys, of course. Esports legends, esports veterans, that's exactly what it comes to expect with this exact team, having that communication coming forward. I like this play, and obviously they're seeing the benefits from it.
And for those of you unfamiliar with Hysteria, longtime Halo professional, this guy reigned in Halo 3 all the way through Halo 5, competing in events and placing literally anywhere from top 12 to first place. I mean, I believe he got first place 3 or 4 events in a row back in like 2009 whenever Triggers Now was making a run. So you're talking almost a decade of esports experience from this guy. Super excited to see not only his stream grow, but him be able to, make his way into another game. Fortnite's popping off. It's helping pretty much everybody from any community background to be able to help make a name for themselves, whether it's re-emerging or whether you're brand new to the scene, like people we see like Myth. That guy just comes out of nowhere and is one of the best players in the game.
And Landon, something I wanted to ask you. Let's talk about the dynamic between Ninja and Hysteria. I know you had at least a couple of opinions when you were watching their VODs when we were kind of piecing together those Twitch clips for the recent recap that we just made. And one of the things you pointed out was Hysteria at some points would slow Ninja's aggressiveness down, and it seems to kind of work out for the best of them. But just kind of work me through the dynamic between these two.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to this particular duo together, one thing that's nice is that Hysteria can kind of level out Ninja. And the reason why he can do that, of course, is because they can trust each other. They played Halo, like Legion obviously talked about in the past. Cloud9, 2014, 2015, they were teammates winning tournaments, going at it and whatnot. So I think one thing that's nice here for Ninja is that at times he can have very aggressive tendencies, which can honestly kind of ruin the pace of one of their games. And like I said, having a teammate that you trust, having a guy who you know is knowledgeable to kind of bring yourself back to a level playing field, give yourself a level head, is going to be Hysteria. This guy likes to play a little bit slower. He's a very methodical player. There was a moment in last week's tournament where it was actually a kind of a 2 versus 2. Obviously, Ninja and Hysteria were still up, and Ninja decided to rush into the Storm. There was maybe 14 players alive, but he ends up rushing the Storm to get a guaranteed 2 kills. He says, you know what, man, I'm going to make the aggressive play. I have faith in you that you're going to be able to clutch this out. Hysteria was like, you know, man, I probably don't think that's a good idea, but I respect the fact that you're trying to do it. Ninja ends up dying, getting those 2 kills, and thankfully, since he trusts his Hysteria plays it out, almost ends up with every single kill, wins the game, and makes it look incredibly easy. And that's one nice dynamic between both of these players, is that you have the prior chemistry, you have that teamwork, and also the trust, right? Which is a huge factor in Friday Fortnite, to know what your teammate's going to do. I think these two are going to work out very well together and are going to be a consistent duo that you're not going to want to face off against. I think their victory last week is only the beginning of many more.
And I think it's a nice tease, right, of what it's going to be like when you're actually seeing competitive players playing with competitive players versus more so entertainers and streamers just playing with each other. When you start to see people that have a history of actually being on a competitive team with each other, you're talking 7-8 years of not only playing with each other but also against each other. So you get to know how your teammate's going to play so well that you do have that faith in them. Hey, you know, you're going to go ahead and push out there. I know you got it. No big deal. I'll be sure to watch this angle for you. And having Hysteria, who's such an esports vet on the team as well, I mean, you do have him keeping him in check, right? Hey, listen, if you're going to make that decision, why don't you rethink it first? Oh, yeah, that respect factor, like you keep mentioning over and over, it's so important. It's so fun to get to see these guys as a tease of some more of these duos we're going to be able to see. And, of course, we've got, Ninja obviously repping Luminosity and still Cloud9 for Hysteria. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago when I was with you. What's that going to do for the dynamic of teams whenever you start to actually see these large, tournaments forming where these, esports organizations are, who's going to be representing what?
Exactly. And that's actually something that I tweeted out on Twitter after watching back a lot of these plays from Hysteria, especially. It was like, this guy's a solo player for Cloud9 Fortnite. He's not like in the squads. He's not with the duos. I was like, if you put him with like a top Fortnite Slayer, like the knowledge that he has, you talk about like decades of experience, esports experience, being in multiple situations, knowing how a lot of these spots are going to work out, having him, who of course already is a fantastic Slayer in his own regard, along with the veteranship, the knowledge that he brings, I think you almost have to at least pair him with someone, or at least make him be like an analyst or a coach at some points during these matches, sometimes during the Fortnite World Cup, where it's like this guy has so much knowledge, so much great presence about him that he can literally also go toe-to-toe and also be a great teammate with Ninja, who's one of the more fast-paced players in the entire world. So just even more credit to Hysteria's overall play, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we see, the game is continuing on, but the frags are starting to get away from Karma and Gotaga. Of course, luckily, they will be able to find someone, as Gotaga is going to be tagged up just a little bit, but I think that player is going to take some massive fall damage, as is Gotaga. That's going to be the Tim damage coming through full speed. But Karma, though, will, in fact, be able to be a good teammate and come in and pick that kill up themselves. But they love this dusty area. This seems to be the area they've been gravitating towards, of course, off that retail drop. That's one of the natural rotations. But is it the best one? I don't know, because you see Ninja and Hysteria. They dropped shifted. They've already been greasy. Now they went tilted towers. Now they're going to be rotating through. But look at this. You see that sub coming out and just beaming the player from below.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that I just watched a 200-meter shot with a silent submachine gun. If you're not using it, definitely give it a try tonight. Whatever you're playing on mobile, just shred people to death with it. They're not going to know what's happening as soon as they see that silent sub out. They're thinking it's a joke. You still have players that maybe have been out of town or something on like 4th of July vacation coming back, don't know the new meta. Next thing you know, they're getting murked by a silent submachine gun from 200 meters away. But seriously, you're talking about the lack of a need for an assault rifle. Where's it in his inventory down there? He doesn't have one. He doesn't need one. He's still got that silence. 6 kills from Gotaga, and he's still getting the assist, but he does actually end up getting knocked.
He does get knocked. Karma, of course, trying to join alongside of him. Can he stay alive? I don't believe he's going to be thirsted for the time being. One guy tries to make the rush, ends up getting taken down. Karma desperately trying to get toward the hand of Gotaga. Will he get dropped? And unfortunately, he does get thirsted. Back-to-back situations. Karma and a 1 versus 2 here, Taylor. This is absolute absurdity to see Gotaga get dropped twice in a row. And now, like I said, Karma already being down the way that he is, having to make the clutch back. This is going to be so difficult for the three-time COD World Champion.
So incredibly difficult, but if anybody could do it, it could be him. But you do notice on the left side, though, Ninja and Hysteria will be picking off the same opponents. Karma is trying to take out himself, and, of course, already being down with such amounts of kills, it's going to be really, really tough, plus with the amount of engagements remaining. I don't know if it's even possible at this point, but we'll continue to see how the game is going to flow. But if this is any indication of how Ninja and Hysteria is going to go and push through this tournament, is they're definitely looking strong and poised to at least kind of go through this bottom bracket, which we talked about is incredibly stacked. It's going to be tough for them in general, and, of course, already starting off against a tough team themselves. They came in and they played considerably well, but I don't see them changing up the strategy anytime soon. Shifty's going to be their drop overall, and we're going to continue to see that pace and that play style throughout this tournament. But, of course, Karma and Gotaga, even if they do lose this, they will, in fact, be moving down to the loser bracket. They'll still be in it, but, of course, as we know about that loser bracket, it gets scarier and scarier as teams keep dropping down.
And really when it comes down to this game, when we kind of look at it from an overall perspective, I mean, really Karma and Gotaga got outclassed, but there's a reason why they got outclassed, right? They're facing off against a team who's placed fourth, who was also placed first last week. This team knows exactly what to do. We talked about the Shifty Shafts drops. It's one of the more prominent locations right now in Friday Fortnite. And for Karma and Gotaga, right, like I said, they get the unfortunateness of dropping early. They play a little bit maybe too aggressive than we would like them to off the start, but they're new, right? They're not really familiar with this format. They're not exactly in the realm. This is both of them, their first Friday Fortnite ever competing. So they're still learning as time goes on. It's going to be a respectable finish in the end, but props to Karma and Gotaga, right? I mean, from the frag standpoint of view, from the elimination standpoint, they played very, very well. It was just a matter of them maybe not having the full knowledge of how this tournament works, the full knowledge of where players are going to be at, certain drops to be making, which drops to not be making. These guys played very well for their first tournament, and to face off against Ninja and Hysteria, you could argue it was going to be very difficult for them to even put up a chance for a fight, but they did pretty well. I got to give them credit.
We got to talk about it, too. I mean, this is game 2. You're looking at, what, about 14 kills combined for what would have been Karma and Gotaga. And for anybody that's we got some fans out there of Gotaga, obviously new here in Karma. Guys, no worries. Losers bracket, they're not doing bad at all. Unfortunately, that first game, Gotaga going down so early, that's so detrimental to the tournament. But we saw Karma doing what he could to try to pull out. Unfortunately, he ended up getting knocked too with about, 16 the game 1 remaining. So, of course, Ninja and Hysteria ended up cleaning literally almost every single one of those players up that they had. Which is one of those things where you're thinking to yourself, oh, cool, now we're down 20 kills. But that's one of those things, too. You've got industry esport vets playing against each other. And, it's no biggie. No biggie. Comeback's always possible. Well, we still got losers bracket alive for them.
We definitely still do. And, of course, we're going to be switching into another game. But as we're going to be doing that, I'm going to give you a little quick bracket up.